Hello, and welcome to another edition of Cultural Conversations with the Big South. I'm Darius Thigpen, and we have another special edition for you today. We have another baseball player. We had Chris Singleton on last time, and we've got another Big South alum. He's from High Point University, and his birthday was earlier here in the month of January. The birthday boy is Andre Scrub, Andre of the Houston Astros. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Can't complain.
Well, Andre, it's a pleasure to have you on as you're one of the guys carrying the flag for the Big South in the major leagues. So we're looking to have a bit of an open chat just about what's going on in the world, how everything outside of baseball has been an impact for you, for players around you, and everything you're doing with the Players Alliance, particularly for Black Americans and in the Black community. So, for starters, again, a lot of the conversation is going to be around the relationship between baseball and Black people. So, when we look at Jackie Robinson and the impact he had as an American, right, coming in and breaking the color barrier, we just saw with the passing of Hank Aaron just last week, the outpouring of support for him. But we both know it wasn't always like that. For Hank, he had to deal with racism. He had to deal with death threats as he was looking to break the home run record. Jackie, he dealt with very much so the same thing. And for those two and a number of others, a whole generation of Black men have been inspired by what they did to go on to play baseball. So I'm just curious, when it comes to Jackie Robinson, when it comes to Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, men of that generation, how did they kind of inspire you, or did they kind of have an impact in getting you interested in baseball at all?
Definitely. I mean, coming in a sport that's predominantly, Caucasian. My mother being Caucasian, my dad being African American, they definitely didn't let it go unnoticed. But they definitely played a big part. Growing up, my dad would make us write papers. I had to write a paper on the Homestead Grays from the Negro Leagues, and the stuff they went through, and it was empowering. It was almost like you got a different respect for the game. You get to appreciate it just that little bit more that you're allowed to play the game, with your friends that live down the street rather than have to drive a couple miles away to go play with people that are the same color as you.
You mentioned like your dad and the way he made you appreciate the Negro Leagues. Have you been to Kansas City? Have you been to the Hall of Fame?
No, I have not. I was looking forward to trying to stop in the exhibition, but I didn't know in the exhibition match. It's really just all business. You go in there as a rookie, you really just try to stay behind someone, follow them. But that was something I was looking forward to. But definitely we'll get a chance if I ever play the Royals again to stop in there.
So was it your dad who really got you interested in the game of baseball? I mean, what else was it like kind of growing up for you around baseball?
Uh, he definitely got me interested in it, and he'd always tell me that he was never really the best. He didn't have the talent, obviously, that it takes to get to the next level. But he also didn't have the instruction. He didn't have the guys around and the help. And when they did, it made him fall in love with the game. He had a couple friends that were, not minorities that would pick him up, take him to the game. His parents, were working. They couldn't take him. They couldn't be there. And you know, he loved it. He loved it, even though he wasn't good. He loved it. He loved the brotherhood. He loved being allowed to play the game. Especially he lived in New York, so baseball rich, and he loved it. So.
Well, with you and what you've done for the Players Alliance, it seems like with many of these initiatives, that's player led. You look at Curtis Granderson, CC Sabathia, and Edwin Jackson, who started the Players Alliance, and you all have donated well over $40 million to helping build equitable systems, promote diversity, but also to get bats and gloves into the hands of kids and get food and help people out who really need a hand, especially right now in this moment in America with the coronavirus. When you guys kind of make that connection with people on the streets, as you guys got to do with the Players Alliance, is it kind of special to know that it's like you're kind of imprinting baseball and imprinting yourself as a leader and just getting to interact with people? I mean, how does that kind of sit with you?
Oh, I mean, it's an overwhelming feeling of joy. Giving back, seeing the kids' faces. Obviously, I'm not as big time as some of those guys that were there, like CC Sabathia, Adam Ottavino. But I mean, just seeing the kids look at them and just be so excited to have some hope that well, these guys are here, like maybe we could do what they do, and being able to reassure them, and not even on the baseball side of things. The Players Alliance is doing a great job. I'm glad I got to participate. They're giving out food. But whatever you may need, PPE equipment. I mean, they went above and beyond, and it's people lining up around the blocks that don't really have any other means of getting stuff like that sometimes. And I mean, it's an overwhelming feeling of joy for sure.
33 cities from the tour going all across the country. So it wasn't just like in New York or any one place, helping out people all across the nation. How did you come to it?
So Josiah Gray is an old teammate of mine when I was with the Los Angeles Dodgers, and I saw that he had went to the one in New York, the one before Coney Island, and I was very interested. I've been trying to reach out, and one of my childhood, I would say, heroes, watching play the game, and had my own nicknames for him and stuff. Ended up reaching out to me and getting me involved, Curtis Granderson, the Grandy Man. And it was just a surreal thing for just me being the African American athlete I am, I guess, meeting my African American, one of my heroes in the game, just to talk to him. I was pacing around the room with my wife saying, I don't even know how to reply. So I can only imagine when he gets to meet the kids that aren't able to do what I'm doing right now. So, yeah, so that's how I got involved, having Granderson reach out to me. So that was pretty cool.
Was that kind of surreal for the fact that one of your idols, he reaches out to you directly? Like, he's not a player anymore, so you're allowed to be a little awestruck by him.
Definitely. Even if he was a player, I don't know if, what he did goes unnoticed in the game. I mean, the amount of effort and hustle and the respect he had for the game that, really taught me, leave it all in the field. Everyone's watching. The same principles Jackie Robinson had, the same principles all these guys before him, whether it's been Hank Aaron, rest in peace to him. But I mean, it really was like a bridge to the game for me. So that work ethic he had.
So as far as being out there and volunteering on Coney Island, can you kind of take me through that day? Like, where did you show up? What did you guys have to do? Like, what was set up for you guys?
So they gave me an address, typical New York fashion. They gave me two crossing intersections. So I show up and there's this big truck there. There's a lot of people, and I'm walking up. I'm like, oh, all right, like this is the thing. They got music playing. It's a good vibe, and everyone's so happy. And they assigned us to certain things, whether it be giving out bats or giving out the food. But one thing I really took away from that experience was just how grateful people were. I mean, these people are in the cold. These people need stuff, and they're getting stuff, and they're just so thankful. There's no sadness on their face. It's just all upbeat and up spirited, and it was awesome. That made it a lot something I'll remember forever for sure.
You made a mention when you were interviewed actually on that day that for you growing up, kind of seeing how expensive baseball was, how much equipment was, traveling to tournaments, and that barrier to entry, that kind of resonated with you. And I mean, obviously made it a little bit of an issue at times. I think you mentioned that it took to get into the game. So for you, being able to kind of pay it forward to kids, like, do you kind of connect on that level, just seeing like, it would have been dope if somebody could have done this for me. It would have been awesome if somebody could have done this for me, but I can do this for someone else. You kind of look at it that way.
Absolutely. I had a coach in high school that would drive me. I don't know if it was, normal or not, but I had a coach that for a few tournaments would drive me, and I would sleep on his hotel floor because, my family couldn't go or my family couldn't take me. And it wasn't the fact that they didn't want to, they had to work. I had 4 siblings at the time. And, his name was Jack Farrick, good guy, still coached to this day. And, I think back on that all the time. It was me and my friend Logan, another African-American athlete. I think about it all the time. Like, if it wasn't for Jack, would I be where I'm at right now? And it was more of a sense of, could I play college baseball? For sure. I could have got noticed by some local schools, but, perfect games, taking over baseball and getting exposed there is, really one of the only ways to get exposed in the game right now is unless you blow up on, Instagram or something. So I definitely take it as that. Every time I work with kids, I read something the other day, it only takes one person to change your life, and whether it was Jack Farrick or my travel ball coach, Andy Bringle, growing up, or, my dad or Coach Kozart from High Point University that, gave me numerous opportunities, even when I didn't deserve it, giving me the benefit of the doubt. Definitely take it like that.
Yeah. Well, one thing that you also had happen that day, you had a bit of a personal reunion during your volunteering. So your dad set up something and surprised you with So could you tell the viewers kind of what happened at the end of that of the service day?
So I'm handing out these food boxes, and I just hear someone in a Caribbean voice, and I'm like, hey, I'm looking for Andre. I'm looking for my nephew, and I just hear this voice, and it's not clicking with to me yet. And all of a sudden, I look up, and I'm like, is that my aunt? I haven't seen my aunt in years, over 10 years. I haven't seen my family from New York. I live super close, so obviously with COVID now and always being away for baseball, it was always tough. But I hear, I see her, we embraced, she started crying. I started tearing up a little bit. I don't know if it was because cold, but it was good. She was there to get some food for her church and maybe some for herself. So it was even in that sense, an unexpected visit, for someone helping someone else. And it's my family. So that was awesome.
Yeah, and that's that's something that I kind of want to stick on, like that the look is like, yes, it is literally your family, but kind of looking at your neighbors as like family members. And we're also in a month of January looking at uh Martin Luther King Day. So what you guys are doing with the Players Alliance, kind of like tying that in with what his message was of looking out for others. And MLK, we know, was one of the greatest Americans ever. So what could you kind of take from what he taught and what his teachings were, and kind of instill it into what you do with your own volunteering and what you do as a man just moving forward?
I just take it as, that loving kindness, I think spreads more than anything in the world. Um, I had a couple times in my life on the ball field where people didn't see eye to eye. They didn't want to play against me. They didn't want to, didn't want to accept that they lost to me. And I had other teammates step up for me. I couldn't personally do it. Obviously, that was his message. Like, you know, uh, have the other people stick up for you. Have the other, because you're showing so much love and compassion and so much effort and so much brotherhood. That's what I took away from Dr. Martin Luther King was, applying it to my life as a man is just loving. And I take it from the Bible as well. The same says the same thing. I love thy neighbor, and I try my hardest to do that.
Now it's interesting you bring that up. I mean, is there any incident that's sticking out in your mind at all? Like any one time that it's like really like, okay, this was a formative moment, or anything even more recent?
I was in high school. I forget the school's name in Virginia. We were playing down south a little bit more, and we had beat a team, and we were going through the line, and some kid had dropped a couple hard R's walking through the line at me. Me being the only African American teammate on my team, I knew it was directed at me. It's one of those things that's not out of body experience when you hear it, and it's like towards you with hate and all that. And I walked by and I kind of like put my head down and like shook my head, and my teammates behind me, hey, don't say it. They got in his face. They, made it known like that's not okay. You can't say that. That's not how we do things around here. It's not how it. And ever since then, I thought, wow. So me loving my teammates, and my teammate Javon Sneed, Justin Sneed, twin brother, jumped right in, and we're right on that. And I thought ever since then, if I can love my teammates this well to the point where they want to defend me, and I don't have to defend myself, so that everyone's starting to learn like it's not okay. And they knew, but it was an awesome experience for me.
I was gonna say, I mean, what did that mean to you to be like, you don't have to fight this alone? Like you have people who are your allies to step in for you, so you don't have to shoulder that burden.
Absolutely. It's such a you feel so small when you hear that word, and I think that's why a lot of people do get aggressive and people do fight. You feel so threatened, but having people have your back like that, it's just I've never felt something like that before, and I try to have that kind of thing. Obviously, I don't want to be in that situation, but I want to have those good friends around me all the time where I have that that support, because with support, if you're supporting your neighbor, anything's possible in this world. I think today.
Well, you guys have been supporting your neighbors through the Players Alliance. We've seen what's happened as the gap has widened financially for families who have been struggling, people who have been struggling. Black communities have been hit especially hard through COVID with that financial uh, separation. And a lot of people have stressed around that. What's been also a messy transition in power we saw earlier this month of January. But for something like what you guys were doing with the Players Alliance, I mean, you did say earlier, you saw it in their eyes that there was like inspiration. People just had a good time. I mean, do you kind of like take away from that like, yeah, I'm doing good work right now, so I'm doing my part? Did you kind of feel that when you guys were out there?
Not just from that, just from the everyday, just giving back when you can. I think you feel that. I mean, that definitely helped. Definitely helped me feel that feeling that I'm doing my part. But when I go to these baseball facilities, I try to, work with the kids as much as I can, give as much as myself as I can before I have to go because I don't think most people get the chance to, you know, train with the best or be with the best. So, especially in those minority neighborhoods. So, anytime I work out with anyone, doesn't matter. I give them everything I got. So, yeah, I definitely that's part of feeling like I'm doing my part.
Yeah, being a mentor for whoever you can, and then again, just literally giving them equipment, which is sometimes the toughest thing to be able to get started. I mean, how important do you think not just your efforts, the Players Alliance, and so many concerted efforts to get Black kids playing baseball? How impactful do you think this can be for the next few years, and then down the road to see like more Black superstars and more Black involvement in baseball?
I think it's going to be big. I don't think people understand. The game's really not marketed to African American children. Growing up, if your dad didn't love it, you didn't really hear about it. You didn't play it. You played football, or basketball, which is heavily, marketed to the African American children, and you can see, uh, you know, a a great representation of them in those leagues. But you know, um, I believe that it could change the game. I believe that there could be even more. The Fernando Tatis, while he may not be African American, a minority, that flair, that fun. I think the game is fun right now, but I think it could just take the game to a whole nother level. Definitely bring the world just a little bit closer, for sure.
Yeah. And it's a story that pops up every Jackie Robinson day, right? Where media outlets they go into reporting updated numbers of Black players in baseball. I mean, is that kind of a normal topic of conversation, or is that just something that pops up once a year for you guys in the clubhouse? Like for you guys who are involved in the game, the number of Black players in baseball, number of Latinos playing baseball, are those kind of topics that normally come up, or is it just once in a while?
It's something you don't really think about in the season. You definitely notice it. I had two African American teammates this year in the big leagues, and I mean, I've been on a lot of teams where I was the only one. I had one at Big South High Point with Josh Green, great teammate, great person. Cam Scott was another one. He's now working. He was actually at the player development event. He's works with the MLB. Yeah, so I mean, usually there's only one or two, and it's a weird feeling, but you got to ignore it. You got to compete while you're in that moment because if you let up for any second, I mean, you might not be in the game anymore. So, but it's definitely a conversation that happens after the season. It's definitely something you notice. It's definitely something hard to swallow. But I mean, in the moment, you gotta just play the game. You can't really focus on the negative things. You can only work on them in the off season. I think the player, uh, they did a great job, the Player Alliance, and bringing that subject to light this off season. The amount of minority kids I saw come to the thing or come to the event, unbelievable. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, and kind of sticking around that, I'm also curious around how Black people are viewed, and not just as players, but management, front office positions. We had Chris Singleton on last time, and he discussed he wanted to be a GM eventually, but that is just not something you normally see. I mean, you've only got a handful of managers, obviously having Dusty Baker there in Houston, but it's not a ton that you see regularly. So for you and for players, for Black players especially, do you guys kind of see managing front office as a potential life after baseball type situation, or is it just like don't think we're gonna be able to cut it because not gonna get the opportunity?
No, you definitely see it. It's when you're playing, you don't think about anything but playing.
Sure.
But you meet some of these world class guys, and you could definitely see it. The Michael Brantleys, you know, I mean, just the Curtis Grandersons, the CC Sabathias, the guys that paved the way for us African American players. You could definitely see it. I don't know if that's their main goal. I think everyone has different goals in life. Being a kid from not much, you don't really strive to be anything other than a star player and your respected athlete, or a doctor or a lawyer. And I don't know if anyone has their sights set past that, but you definitely see it. It's definitely realistic. At when we look at each other as players, for sure.
Well, sticking on, all right, so your playing career, you've gone from being at High Point University, Big South. Now, yes, there is a pathway to the majors through the Big South, but you are one of just few to be able to make it recently. But you've hit some highs, being with the Astros, being in the postseason, getting run in the postseason. When you kind of look at your journey from where you started as a kid playing baseball to where you are now, what kind of stands out to you? Like, what is kind of the moment you look back at as like, wow, it's really cool that I did this, or done that, or this is what I'm looking forward to? How do you kind of look at your career so far?
One of the coolest things I did was my sophomore year. Obviously, I've always struggled with controlling the zone, so Coach Cozart put me in the bullpen, and in the conference tournament, he gave me a start, and I went out my first ever complete game, 10 strikeouts. We ended up winning the game, and stuff like that, where you're able to just help the team win. I mean, just anything, being with the guys. Like, I don't think anyone realizes, how cool this game really is until it's a little too late. So just soaking it in. I think a mix of everything. I mean, I played with some of the best players in the world this year. Jose Altuve, George Springer, Carlos Correa, Michael Brantley. I mean, I can go Justin Verlander, I mean, I got these guys, Zach Greinke. I mean, Roberto Osuna. I mean, I'm talking guys that are going to be in the record books. But I mean, just soaking it all in. I think you can't really pick one from one point. But that was definitely a big point. Was the Big South tournament because I did not pitch in the previous one, so that was a really really cool moment for me.
So going from the Big South tournament to the postseason and just being right there, climbing up toward the World Series, was that kind of a surreal moment when you go out and you realize, like, I'm pitching in an opportunity to go to the World Series? Like, did that kind of hit you at all, or you were just focused on the moment, getting the hitters out?
Definitely had a buzz. There wasn't that many fans. There's definitely friends and family, or I think just family was there. And we had Gary Pettis, who is battling cancer right now. He wasn't able to finish the season with us as our third base coach, but he was there. I mean, the electricity you feel in the playoffs is, I mean, it's definitely something different. You definitely feel it, but you're there to do a job. You're there to help your team get just one game closer. And we battled back, get to a game. Get to that last game, you're one game away, and we didn't come up fortunate this time, but yeah, you definitely notice it. It's awesome. It's an awesome feeling.
Well, as we move further into 2021, 2020 was a weird year. Obviously, your guys' season was completely disjointed, starting late and everything. But what are your goals going into 2021? What are you looking to accomplish this season?
I'm honestly just trying to be more in the zone. More in the zone. Trying to get more soft contact early in counts. Really just trying to help the team win, get back to where we were last year, and go to the World Series, win that last game. I don't think there's any better goal for anyone on any team. It's really just help your team, and if that's me, throwing every other day, or me throwing every 5 days, or whatever it may be, as long as I'm in the zone and helping the team win, I'm happy. That's my goal.
Well, we're all certainly here from the Big South standpoint, looking forward to seeing how you continue to develop, how you continue to do. As we kind of wrap up here, I want to see if there's anything else that you want to talk about, any other charities or anything else you want to promote as we kind of give you a little bit of a platform right here.
There's this disease called osteogenesis imperfecta, OI, and they have a foundation. My cousin has OI, my wife's cousin. He's pretty much my cousin at this point, but if anyone could just take the time out of their day, maybe give that a few looks. And there's also a disease called Noonan syndrome. I have a couple shirts. So I mean, those two are definitely big. Donating blood, things like that, things you could do that aren't harmful to yourself. Donating blood, maybe donate a few bucks to those kind of things. That would be awesome.
Yeah, appreciate that. And for me, we do have the Black Play-by-Play grant that's trying to help get more Black involvement in broadcasting, trying to get more play-by-play guys to jump in, whether it's at the minor league level and eventually at the major league level, but trying to get more broadcasters going. And that's something that we've been trying to get going this year, and actually got our first class of students who were able to receive scholarships for the Black Play-by-Play Fund. So it's just something that we've been working on as well from like a broadcasting standpoint. But Andre, it's been great to have you on and to just kind of chat with you about everything that you're doing and appreciate your work and really hope you keep up the work. And looking forward to seeing you maybe back in the postseason coming up this fall.
I can only hope so. And just a big shout out to Josie Strong and her family. I hope you guys are doing well.
Andre, truly appreciate your time. And viewers, appreciate you watching. This was another edition of Culture Conversations with the Big South. We'll see you next time.